I'm gonna be representing like the side of LeBron being the best of all time. He's gonna be doing Jordan. Since
Okay.
Jordan played first, I'm gonna give him the table first to introduce who Michael Jordan is and give y'all a little background.
All right, y'all. But just to get y'all, a little bit excited, about this, we're gonna show y'all a couple of their highlights of them in their Jordan in his prime.
From Stansbury. Now, Michael Jordan told me he had something special. He may be trying to take off the free throw line a la Julius Erving. Let's see what happens. He kind of measured it from there. He's going back. That might make it over in. They like this. I can hear his engines revving now. Air Jordan ready to take off. Chicago. That's got to be a 50 ball. He took off just a little inside that free throw line. One-handed double clutch. Magic Johnson gives him a nice five. Underneath the basket as he got out of the way. Let's watch this one again. This deserves a second look. Michael taking off. The patented tongue comes out. Just in front of that line. Look at this. The double clutch, the reach out. And he got 49. Unbelievable. There we go. There's the slam camera. The slam jam.
Yeah, that was probably Michael Jordan's most iconic dunk of all time, which all players try to recreate, and not even close to 10% can recreate.
I don't think there's a specific video up there. This is like a highlight tape of both of them. You gotta find Jordan. This is right here. One of the greatest dunks ever. Pure athleticism. Nothing good about that. So, long story short, both players are very athletic, if you cannot tell, and dominant in their own way. So you go ahead with it.
All right, y'all. So first we're going to be talking about, first of all, I'll just give y'all an intro. I'll be telling you guys about why I don't feel like Jordan isn't just the GOAT. He's better than LeBron. As a lover of basketball, sports, and greats, I feel like I'm a basketball connoisseur, and I consider myself well-versed in the topic that we're speaking on today.
All right. Well, yeah. So for LeBron, I grew up playing basketball, so it's always been a passion of mine. And then LeBron's always been my favorite player. He had like a movie, and he literally, like in high school, I used to watch it like every night before bed, just because like it used to motivate me so much. So because of that, I couldn't argue against LeBron at all, and he is my personal greatest player of all time, and I think that he is. So that's why I definitely chose him.
Can I stop you a minute? It's really hard for us evaluating you to go back and forth. So let me ask you this. Is there any way you can do your side?
Okay, that's fine.
And then you do your side? Rather than you just you do one little part and then he does his little part? Because it's like I'm going, okay, this is, so just let me do you and then you do you. How's that? That'll be easier.
All right, so do you want me to go through all of my main points as well?
Yes, and let him go all through
right, you
his.
go ahead,
All right, that's cool.
See if it works. If it doesn't, you just tell me if it's messing you up, okay?
All right.
Because I just, I wrote down, I'm going to be honest with you, I wrote down, okay, here's his credibility, here's his preview, and then you did yours, and I'm like going, oh gosh, I got to, so.
Okay. Yeah, well,
just,
we had in mind, we had 3 points, and he was gonna make his arguments, and I was
Because
gonna
our
buzz.
points correspond. We're both going to be talking.
Can't you just do yours, and then you do yours, and then after it's over, you both go back and talk about how they correspond?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, do that.
All right. Today I'll be speaking on his flawless finals record and overall dominance, his other means of revenue that his greatness brought him, and then his lasting effect on the overall game and culture even after he retired. So let's get this beat down started. I have to lunch with Scottie Pippen soon. I have to get to.
Okay.
So for those who don't really know much about Michael Jordan, here's are just some basics, statistics that he was great at. You have season MVPs, which he has 1 more than LeBron. Then you have his final MVPs that he has 3 more than LeBron. You have his All-NBA First Team selections, 11. Then you have his All-Team Defensive Team selections, 3 more than LeBron again. Well, and then Defensive Player of the Year in 87. LeBron does not have a Defensive Player of the Year at all. And then he led the league in scoring 10 times a whopping 9 times more than LeBron has. And then, so those are just some basic statistics, and I'll go on more reasons within the basketball. In 1995, he had the most regular season wins with the Chicago Bulls. And this was like crazy at the time. They only had 10 losses on the entire season. And then, of course, they went on to win the championship in 1995. This was actually the year he retired for 1 year to do some other things. I'll get on that later. But this record was sadly beaten recently by a certain super team that a lot of people know about. You know, getting into my next point about basketball, Jordan was one of the few players I consider that never joined a super team. A lot of people consider LeBron joining a super team. A lot of people saying Kobe, he didn't necessarily join a super team, but he linked up with a lot of great players. And then while, you know, not necessarily being alone, being skilled, he was also one of his biggest things. He was undefeated in the finals, winning every single time he went to the finals, he left with a ring. He never went to Game 7. It was never to a down the wire. He was complete dominant over everything he did. All right, and after going undefeated, he retired, but his face was still all over the league, which brings into my next point, his brand. In 1984, Jordan had his first shoe when he came into the league. Now, he didn't actually sell none of these shoes until 1985 that he allowed other players and other markets to sell his shoes as well. And then since then, Jordan has been making an insane amount of money. Since then, he makes $100 million a year from his Nike deal that he signed before he got into the league. This is from Business Insider. Last year alone, selling solely on his shoes, he made a whopping $2.25 billion last year. And then not only with just his shoes, he also creates shoes for, of course, basketball. He does shoes in all of the sports. These right here, these cool gray 9s are baseball cleats. I had those in high school. He also makes football cleats. He makes all types of things for it. He now, instead of just having basketball jerseys, as you can see, he does jerseys for college football teams. Here's Michigan State and Carolina right there rocking the Jordan logo on their jerseys. And then another thing he did was, another form of revenue that he had was he bought the Charlotte Hornets not too long ago. And then with that, he has 90% of the stakes for the Charlotte Hornets, which is worth about $780 million. This is all from Business Insider. Okay. And then that kind of just leads into my next point about after he retired, how he still continued to have an impact on the game and everything outside. And this is what I call his off-court presence. Now, like I talked about earlier, in 1995, when he had the most regular season wins and won the championship, and I said that the season before that, he took a break from basketball. He prematurely retired, but of course came back. And what he did on this one off season, he went to go play in the major leagues, which is very unheard of. Very few players have the skill set to play 2 major league sports. And he went to go play with the Birmingham Barons. He played for a year, and he had average stats. He wasn't, a great baseball player, of course. Other off-court things that he did, he had many charities that he donated to. A few of the charities that he donated to along his career was the Hurricane Florence Fund. He donated to the American Red Cross, the Smithsonian National Museum of African American Culture, the NAACP legal settlement, and then he donated to legal settlements of 23 schools in Chicago. He donated his entire salary of his 2001 and 2002 season to help out 9/11 charities, to give back. And then one of the biggest things, well, not necessarily the biggest, but another big thing he did, he actually changed the culture of basketball here in Charlotte. Some people kind of forgot, but Charlotte used to be the Charlotte Bobcats, and it was changed to the Hornets. And then since then, even though they're still not a great basketball team, the revenue has shot up tremendously. So that speaks on his, his ability to be not only a great player, but a great general manager to a basketball program. And then one of the biggest off-court things that Jordan has ever done, and even if nobody's ever seen him play, it's a good chance you've seen this, Space Jam. This was a great movie, like an all-time great movie that Jordan was in, that really boosted his place culturally as one of the top players. And another reason why I feel like he's better than LeBron, because LeBron is trying to do a Space Jam too, but he's having trouble recruiting players to be in there with him. So that also attests to, how a lot of people don't view LeBron as the GOAT, or at least his peers do not. And then in conclusion, I feel that Michael's career was not only more potent and successful than LeBron's, but his impact on the game, his impact on the culture of basketball, not only in the U.S. but far beyond, was just greatly changed by his overall domination. Thank you.
All right, so good points. That's cool. All right, so first I'm gonna start with statistics. LeBron, I didn't put it up there, but LeBron was number one overall pick in 2003 out of high school. In high school, he won 3 state championships. He's a 3-time NBA champion so far. His career's not over, so we don't know how many he's going to end with. He was in Finals MVP each time. He was a 4-time league MVP. Still don't know what he's going to finish with. His career's not finished. 15-time NBA All-Star so far. And one of his biggest statistics, I think, is even though he wasn't perfect, he went to 8 straight finals. So he basically was like the Eastern Conference represented like in the NBA Finals for 8 straight seasons. First 4 with the Miami Heat, and then the last 4 with Cleveland. And in 2016, he became the first player to come back from being down 3-1 in the NBA Finals against the team that broke Michael Jordan's record for the best record in basketball, the Golden State Warriors. And that same Warriors team is a team that he had to play against a majority, 4 of the last finals. The last 4 finals he had to play against that Golden State Warriors team, who only got better the next season after adding arguably the second best player in the NBA, who was Kevin Durant. This season, LeBron passed Michael Jordan all-time points, and he did that with shooting less shots. So his field goal percentage is his all-time better field goal percentage as well. So right now LeBron's at 32,543 career points. Michael Jordan had 32,292 points at the end of his career, and LeBron still has 3 more years on his contract with the Lakers, and who knows if he's going to continue to keep playing after that. Not only is he number 4 in the NBA scoring list all time, he's number 10 on the assists for all time assists, and he's also actually that's incorrect, but he's not top 10 rebounds, but he's top 10 assists, and he could easily be top 5 if not top 3 at the end of his career, because he's only like 3,000-4,000 away, and if he keeps up the numbers he's putting up, he could easily achieve that. He's 5th all time in field goals made, so that's like how many shots he's made, with 11,838, and then he's 9th all time in field goal attempts. So he's while Michael Jordan is 4th on both lists. So that just goes back to my point where LeBron's shot more shots and made more, or no, less shots and made more. And then the playoffs, LeBron is number 1 overall in playoff points. He's 3rd in playoff assists, number 1 steals, 2nd in defensive rebounding, number 1 in shots made, shots attempts, and number 1 free throws made in the playoffs. So that's a pretty dominant stat right there. Jordan was even top 5, not even top 10 on some of those lists. And a lot of people like to argue that LeBron isn't as clutch of a player since we have all these highlights of Michael Jordan hitting these game winners, and people like to assume that Michael Jordan is just the clutchest player of all time. But in the playoffs for game time and go-ahead shots in less than 10 seconds, LeBron James has made 12 out of 23, shooting 52%. Michael Jordan's only made 7 out of 15. So it kind of rebuttals that stereotype. So statistically, LeBron definitely holds his own. He kind of proved that this year, passing him in points. So let's go back to the brand. So LeBron also has his own shoe line with Nike, which he is currently the NBA's top seller in shoes. And he has a lifetime deal with Nike, which is supposed to be worth over $1 billion. And in terms of performance basketball shoes in this past year, Jordan is 5 fifth, like overall in sales. LeBron is first, and Kyrie Irving second. Kevin Durant is third. Steph Curry is fourth. So LeBron has definitely had a big impact in the shoe industry, and I even used to wear some of his shoes, and I like them more than the Jordans used to play them. Just saying. All right, so LeBron's off-course endeavors. First of all, he's a father of three. He's very active in his children's lives, basically on social media. He helps coach his son's AAU basketball team during the summer, during the off season. He's been 100% loyal to the same woman he's been with since high school. He's never had any scandals. He's never been in trouble for anything. He's never even cheated on his wife, which is a big deal when you're that high-profile athlete, someone that a lot of people look up to, and you could probably have any girl he wanted to. So, and one of his biggest things that he has done, and which has been big in the news lately, is he opened a school in Akron, Ohio, where he grew up, which is for at-risk children, and he provides transportation. He gives the kids bikes and helmets, and it's like so supposed to be a very active school in their community, and helping kids who are at risk stay out of trouble. He's done so much for the community of Akron and Cleveland, where he grew up from. And I mean, other than buying the Hornets, off the court, Jordan kind of had a few scandals. Used to be big into gambling. He's a big gambling problem. Has been known to have a temper, and kind of have a bad attitude. So I think LeBron really he's an ideal role model. He has stayed out of trouble. He helps out his community, and he's a good father, husband. He's someone that not only basketball players, but I think all men should look up to as a person. And that is another reason why I believe that he is the greatest of all time. So, we'll go right there. Oh, you're right. I was about to say he's doing Space Jam 2, but they're filming this summer. It's about to come up next year.
So, just to go back on some of our points, now that you've individually heard our arguments, we're going to rebuttal just a little bit, not taking too much of your time. So, like I was saying earlier, while LeBron does have a lot of the more, he has some of the most statistics. He's first in a lot of categories. He's also passed Jordan in a lot of categories. He has played one more season than Jordan, which I think Jordan has played 15 seasons, and then LeBron was just past his 16th season.
Shows a lot about his durability.
Yeah, so LeBron, you do consider him more durable. He is one of the, believe LeBron spends about, I know it's in the millions on his body yearly. So he does that just so he can keep up and he continue playing longer. One of the things that he hopes to do is play with his son, but that's just another, personally to me, a useless statistic. I feel like he's just buying his time to play with his son. I feel like he's not really trying to go at any goals right now. Unlike Jordan, I feel like everything he went at full speed, full force. He never lost too many times. He was also a dominant player his entire career. People respected him. People feared him. What he said earlier about him being he had anger issues with his teammates. I mean, sometimes you got to be that way. Sometimes you really have to, excuse my French, you got to get in your teammates' ass to make them right. And that's a lot of places that people criticize LeBron. They don't feel like he's a take charge player. He tries to help, which is a good sign of leadership. But sometimes the leadership you need is to just get in line, do your job, and feel like based on his stats, you can tell that worked for Jordan his entire career.
Well, LeBron is in a good position right now to continue winning. I know he's not in the playoffs, but they're looking for a host spot, so that situation. He had his first injury this year, so in terms of durability, he could play. I believe LeBron could play to like 45, 50, just sit at the top of the key and facilitate. And I mean, you say playing with his son is a useless statistic, but like, what's Michael Jordan's children been doing?
But speaking of durability, are we not going to talk about how Jordan played when he had the flu? It was called the flu game. He actually dropped some shoes called the flu game. Yeah. And during this game, he had the flu. He could barely breathe. He was sick, sneezing, throwing up, and he literally played an entire NBA game against the whole time. And I believe he won that game too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, LeBron never got the flu in the finals, so. We're taking his vitamin C.
All right, and then, like I was saying early, next we talked about our brands, how LeBron brand compared to Jordan's. And I just feel like personally, Jordan brand, I mean, of course, he's a well-aged player. LeBron is still in the league, so I'll give him that. He's young. We don't know what LeBron is going to do in the next 10 years post-retirement. I surely feel like, no disrespect, I surely feel that LeBron could reach, that level of, world greatness. I know LeBron has a show right now that he does. He brings on players and rappers and other cultural icons, but honestly, I still feel like Jordan's legacy reaches far beyond. I feel like Jordan shoes will literally keep selling out. Jordan drops the ugliest shoes, and they still sell out within a day. Like, they still make insane amount of sales. I feel like the Charlotte Hornets, while they are trash right now, I feel like they'll get better, and I feel like that revenue will go up. Can you say the same about some LeBron investments?
Well, LeBron, one of the main reasons he moved to LA was because of business. He has a TV show, he has Space Jam. And I heard something recently about how when he retires, he is looking into buying the Cleveland Cavs and turn the organization around. He's already been talking to Dan Gilbert about it, the current owner. So, I mean, we still have to see what he does. His focus still now should be basketball. I think his shoes and his brand is obviously going to continue to grow because of who he is and such a big athlete that he is. But I believe that over time, especially after he retires, and he's going to probably most likely be in LA, he's going to be the face of not only basketball, but I feel like by that time, maybe entertainment with his TV ventures and maybe even Hollywood. So we have only time to tell.
And I don't really want to argue about philanthropy and the things they do off the court because I feel like they're still both great men who've done a lot more for you. They've given back a lot of their money and stuff like that to the community to try to make the community a better place. So I feel like we're just going to end the argument there, and we'll let you guys decide who you feel like the GOAT is. Do you feel like the GOAT should be somebody who's just an overall better player, or the GOAT should be somebody who is completely dominant and, beat anybody out?